welcome back to DBL. Can we just take a moment to talk about all the air rage going on? The FAA is sounding the alarm, saying there's been more than 100 in-flight incidents in just the past week. Can you believe that? Including this incident on a Frontier flight. Take a look.
Don't get in the middle of that. Don't just call the cops. Don't get in the middle of that, Sharon.
I'm about to break it up.
Hey, you've got to break it up right now. I'm going to have security come in this aircraft.
Wow, if you saw me turning, I was watching footage over here of that fight. Unbelievable. Now, some cabin crew are being taught fighting moves to take down unruly passengers, like the double ear slap, the eye poke, and the groin kick. They shouldn't have to be doing this. Are you kidding me? They're there not to serve you drinks. They're there not to break up your fight. They're there to save your life. That's what the flight crew is there. God forbid something happened on that plane. What are you thinking?
Is this the martial arts of the Three Stooges?
I mean, really?
You're going to eye poke them? And like,
you got to block it?
But yeah, like, what are you talking about? Listen, this is definitely not a flight attendant's job to seduce somebody. But it is in people's interests. If you want, one of my best friends growing up in the world does martial arts. He's taught me some protective moves if I ever need it.
The one that I met?
Yeah.
Love
Tony.
him.
So
Tony.
he taught me a long time ago.
He taught me some things too, remember?
Yeah, he's good at that. So I know a couple moves. Like, I would never, first of all, getting in a fist fight, I mean, what are you going to do? We want to subdue somebody. And I think now more than ever, people are trained like that, and people do want to subdue that situation. It's, do I want to go and choke some lady out on an airplane without me getting in trouble for it?
And here's the thing, too. What we're not talking about is what has happened in this, like, in interpersonal communication in general. I mean, you have people who are so far gone, feeling like they have nothing to lose. When you get into a fight on an airplane, when you don't have the presence of mind to think like, oh, do I like traveling on cargo ships and driving across the country? You're gone. That means that you have nothing to lose. So, of course, people are going completely crazy.
Why
and
do you think that is?
That's why I always say you don't get into fights, because people who fight have nothing to lose, okay? They will take you down with them, and then they'll sue you for everything that you have. It's insane.
That's what I'm saying.
But at the same time, you have people who are feeling like, you know, their lives are in an uproar. They're in their major setback season. They don't care anyway. And a lot of these people are doing it in front of their children. I mean, you see that child on the plane, like, that is traumatic. So there's really no reasoning in trying to make sense out of nonsense, because this is absolute nonsense.
Right, but why are we seeing an uptick in this? Is it because people are feeling unhinged because of the pandemic? Is it because there's, you would say, entitlement? Like,
I would definitely say entitlement. I think a lot of people feel entitlement if they're placed on the bottom of the totem pole, so to speak, their whole life. Now is the time where they could rise up and they have that excuse. That's just me.
Yeah, I think social media over the course of the last 15 years has shown people that they're on the bottom of the totem pole, like seeing other people's lives. And I think now we're seeing this, because I've been traveling almost every week for 15 years, and it has never been like this. This is a different situation we're dealing with. I think people are pent up from the pandemic. I think this country is very divided, whether we want to discuss it or not. And I think that last one was about racism. So I don't know if training a 59-year-old flight attendant to be a UFC fighter is the move, but we need to do something.
Well said.
A Three Stooges.
Yeah, that was like, yeah, give some real moves.
Good old eye poke.
Throw it arm bar.
Coming up on DBL is Harold Hallman, an international serial killer. The clues investigators are putting together in today's True Crime Chronicles.
According to studies, we're lied to between 20 and 200 times on any given day. But what constitutes a lie? If I tell you I'm fine when I'm not, is that a lie? Is there a way to detect deception? I'm William Shatner, and I don't understand.
Welcome back to DBL. He went from murder suspect to suspected serial killer. Harold Hallman's violent history is now back in the spotlight. Could he be linked to another disappearance? Here's the latest on DBL's True Crime Chronicles.
Harold Hallman, known to many as Dave, is a 43-year-old with a lengthy criminal past. In June 2018, that's when 25-year-old Tiana Phillips disappeared in Berwick, Pennsylvania. She told friends her boyfriend Harold was supposed to pick her up that night. Tiana was never seen again, and her case went cold. Fast forward to December 2020. Erica Schultz vanishes. The 26-year-old was autistic and had the mental capacity of a 13-year-old. After being reported missing, police tracked her cell phone records and found multiple calls and texts between Harold and her. Once caught, he confessed to beating and killing Erica in the woods. While awaiting trial for the murder of Erica Schultz, police linked and charged Harold to Tiana Phillips' case from 2018, in big part thanks to Harold's wife, who confessed she knew her husband killed Tiana. While recording his confession to those two crimes, Harold mentioned the name Ashley Parlier, a 21-year-old woman from Michigan.
The case ended up going cold, and she was never located or heard from.
Ashley disappeared back in 2005 after getting into an argument with family.
She didn't want to admit that she was pregnant, so she got angry and walked off.
Harold had met his other two victims through online dating. But how did he know Ashley?
My parents didn't have a computer in 2005. She could have been online, but it wasn't at our home.
The girls had similar characteristics. Like Erica, Ashley also had autism.
If you were nice to her, she just assumed you were a nice person. She just didn't really get that there could be evil.
Could Harold be tied to Ashley's disappearance?
I want any of his victims to come to light because I don't want any other family to go through what we went through for 16 years.
And could there be more victims?
And earlier, Jeff and Lindsay spoke with a reporter who's working on this case. Take a look.
We are here with reporter Marshall Keeley from WNEP in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Thank you, Marshall, so much for being here.
Thank you for having me on, guys.
Now let's dive right into the background of Harold Hallman. Who is he? And it's kind of crazy. What type of person does it take to commit these crimes?
Yeah, well, Harold Hallman was a long-haul trucker in Duncannon, Pennsylvania, which is just north of Harrisburg, the state capital. He had gotten into relationships online through some online dating platforms with two women who he was ultimately charged with their murders. He took them into the woods, followed them, and hit them over the head with a hammer in one case, slashed their throats, left their bodies there. It's tough to say what kind of person could potentially do this.
Now, Harold was already accused of 2 murders, and now he's facing new murder charges in connection with the 2018 disappearance of Tiana Phillips. How did the police connect this all back to him?
When police dug more into this, they questioned him further and then questioned his wife at the time, who then led them to this note that she had written, or that he had written to her, basically describing the way in which he had killed Tiana Phillips in 2018. His wife then visited that murder site with Harold Hallman and actually was there when he went into the woods and recovered some of the remains of Tiana Phillips and took them in a trash bag and then tossed them in a dumpster behind a movie theater on the way home. Once they had the wife and once they questioned her and got this note basically confessing to this murder, they knew they had their man.
Wow. So as crazy as this story is, Marshall, a lot of people are now saying Harold could be an international serial killer, and police are looking into other cases. Do you think he could be connected to even more?
He's also been connected to an individual back in the late 90s. He was actually convicted of manslaughter in Germany, the manslaughter of a U.S. colonel's son when he was over there. There's another case in Battle Creek, Michigan from 2005, a woman named Ashley Marie Parlier. She went missing back in 2005 from her home, was never seen again. After Hallman mentioned Parlier's name during questioning with Pennsylvania police, they got in contact with Battle Creek, Michigan officers who then triangulated a search area and have been looking for several times, have now looked for the remains of Ashley Marie Parlier, where Hallman said she may be. So this is, by all means, this story is not over. There could be many more people, but as I said, he is now at least linked to 4 deaths.
Thank you so much, Marshall. And to learn more about this case, please visit WNEP.com. This story is also the subject of a new podcast episode. Just search True Crime Chronicles on your favorite podcast player. Again, thank you so much, Marshall.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by...
It's so easy.
Jeff Bezos, who heads up Blue Origin, was one of the 4 people aboard the New Shepard Tuesday. Went to outer space and back in under 11 minutes. Enough time for rumors to spread about how exactly Bezos' cosmic cruise was funded. Some suggest that taxpayers funded the mission. So let's verify. Did taxpayers fund the recent Blue Origin launch? Our sources? A NASA spokesperson and Scott Pace, director of the Space Policy Institute at the George Washington University. He also previously served in the White House on their National Space Council, literally analyzing NASA budgets and space policy. NASA addressed this claim head on. Quote, no taxpayer dollars were used for the Blue Origin New Shepard flight today. So we can verify that this claim is false. But NASA has worked with Blue Origin in the past, like it has with lots of private companies.
Are there billions of federal dollars going into what Jeff Bezos did today? No. Has the federal government put significant amounts of money, somewhat under $1 billion, in a variety of areas for Blue Origin? Yes.
And all of those agreements are posted online, so we took a look. Blue Origin has received millions of dollars from NASA. In fiscal year 2020 alone, they got over $230 million, according to this NASA report. Most notably, Blue Origin's bid for NASA's prestigious Artemis program, which plans to send the first woman and the first person of color to the moon. In April 2020, Blue Origin was among 3 companies to get a big check to move through the bidding process, a total of $967 million. A year later, they didn't get it, as was offered to SpaceX instead. Blue Origin is appealing the decision to the Government Accountability Office, and NASA says they're going to make their final decision later this summer. And why does all this matter? This is billions of taxpayer dollars that are up for grabs. With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozloff.
So, you know, a lot of our viewers are writing in their own personal stories about COVID and the vaccine. And Tanya just wrote in on Facebook, my brother has been in the ICU for 34 days, and today they will be removing him from the ventilator and allowing him to die. He felt that since he got a slight case of COVID last year that he was protected and did not need the vaccination. He did not get it, and now he's going to die. This is my brother. Tanya, that is real, that is vulnerable. I'm so sorry. We are so sorry. Our hearts are with you, but thank you for sharing that story. We have much more coming up after the break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2. Welcome to DBL. I'm Sam here with Jeff, Alan, Erica. Let's get started. So Chrissy Teigen says she plans to mind her own business from now on. Chrissy was spotted by TMZ cameras out and about in LA and was asked about being in the so-called cancel club following her online bullying scandal. Watch. Wow. Okay, so apparently there's a lot of reality, which I'm not surprised. Of course, there's going to be a cancel club reality show. Who else do you think should be in that cancel club?
I mean, I think about, because I go back to when Trump was still in office, Kathy Griffin really got herself in trouble with that picture of a beheaded president, which was over the line. Doll, excuse me, yes. And because of that, she said that the Secret Service was on her. She was on a no-fly list. And, you know, and she got really removed from society. Her dates got canceled for stand-up. So she's already had that kind of tongue-in-cheek life on the D-list kind of vibe, like I'm used to being a D-list celebrity. So I think she's kind of used to this kind of low-budget kind of TV show.
Almost surreal life.
Yeah, surreal life kind of thing. Like I'm used to being kind of the goofy one.
I could definitely see this being a real show.
Who else do you think
like
would join
legit.
the cast?
Listen, I don't know who else would join. I have a couple people, but I know who could host this show. Who? Chris Harrison.
Oh.
There you go.
Not
only hosts, he sits in on the sessions, right?
Yes.
He brings in audience with him.
No, well, he could be on the show, but he can't host the show.
Yes, he can.
He
ding,
can't
ding,
host.
Ding. It's time to get yelled at, everybody. Let's sit down. And then he sits down.
Erica, who do you think would join the cast?
I think definitely Aziz.
Yeah.
I mean, that
Aziz Ansari.
Yeah. I mean, that's still insane to me that someone anonymously wrote an article on a source called babe.net. anonymously. And I'm always like, okay, you know, I'm always on the side of the victims, right? So I try to tread this very lightly. But our hypothesis, especially at that time, was that where there's smoke, there's fire. So you get one allegation, and then all these allegations flood in, and they're all, you know, a majority of them are very credible. We had one allegation by someone anonymous on babe.net, and nobody else said boo. That is insane. I think he brings a totally different dynamic to that entire discussion.
I think that's important to have that involved, because then people can have discernment. They can say you can't lump everybody together. You can't put an Aziz Ansari next to a Harvey Weinstein. You got to have discernment. You can't read a headline and just quickly cancel someone. That's not right. That's not fair.
Sam, people on the internet don't have a lot of time for nuance. But I wish that you were correct.
But Kevin Hart would be good in that club.
Kevin Hart would be great.
He's canceled?
He's got enough going on.
He had, of course, but he had to go through it. Well, I don't think he'd ever do it. But he had to go through it when he lost the Oscars hosting gig. He had to go through it.
I'm like, I want to be that kind of canceled.
I know.
Because Kevin is booked and busy.
Capital One commercial canceled.
Booked and busy.
All right, so Dolly Parton had a special surprise for her husband's birthday. Get this. Dolly recreated her iconic 1978 Playboy cover. Dolly had previously mentioned that she wanted to pose on the cover when she turned 75. But since Playboy doesn't put out magazines anymore, she decided to recreate the shoot as a present to her husband, Carl. Take a look.
I did a little photo shoot in this little outfit, and I had a cover made of the new Dolly, or the old new Dolly. And in the first one, see, remember this? I was kind of a little butterball in that one. Well, I'm string cheese now. But he'll probably think I'm cream cheese, I hope. Anyway, I'm going to surprise him, going in singing to him in my little bunny suit. So, what do you think?
It looks like she's teaching him to read with Playboy covers. Why was she leaning in like that? That was very weird.
She was showing
that was not sexy at all.
Like, ew, Albert.
That wasn't the way she was like slamming it in his face.
Oh, I'm sorry. You saw a still photograph, but you can't understand.
He looked like he was trying to watch TV.
Erica.
He was not. That man was not trying to watch TV.
Erica, would you sit in that chair if you're trying to get hot and bothered? That was a television fireplace chair, and you know it.
She was presenting him with the photo where he was.
Well, then back up a foot.
Al, you are missing the point. You have missed. Here's the point, and you're way over here.
I'm going to take Al's side on this one, of course. Yes. Al, I'm going to back you up with this. Why are you showing a photo when you're wearing the outfit?
So he can hang it up in his office. You don't think that's a beautiful
What do you mean?
gesture?
Walk in and say, check this outfit out. Not like, check this outfit out.
How about she did do that? We don't know. You guys are speculating
Can we
based
pull the
on.
picture up again?
Okay.
Look how close she is to it. Like,
How do you?
No.
You know what? Y'all need to be ashamed of yourself. This woman is 75 years old, recreating a photo from 40 years ago. She looks damn good. Her husband clearly has it for her. She has it for him. That's the type of life I want to live at 75 years old.
You can't even see his face. He's sitting with his head to the back like he's a
You want to know how I know, Al? Because I know that type of long-standing love. You can notice it. You always see it when you see it.
You saw all that from the back of his head?
I did. I sure did.
For him to spin around and have
I felt it in my heart and in my soul.
Wow. Unbelievable.
I bet you didn't think that story was going there.
And shout out to Dolly. We love that.
Speaking of
See,
that.
there you go.
Okay,
Sam, is that a little close?
But why are you covering up? How you look with a photo?
Can I please just say something? You guys are assuming that that's all that happened. You don't think that maybe this is Dolly Parton. This is a performer. She's smart as hell. She's gorgeous. You don't think that she came out, maybe did a little song and dance first, then said, oh, by the way, I have this. Please. You think she just came out stomping and was like,
I mean, well, that's
really,
I can only go by what we saw.
Oh,
and
Albert.
She would look.
Then you know you need to be a little bit more creative.
Back up 6 inches,
You need to be
Dolly.
a little bit more creative.
I love Dolly. I'm just saying it was a strange photo.
She came out in a song and dance, and I guarantee it was seductive because she's a performer.
It was like 2 in the afternoon. It wasn't even a sexy time. It was like in between golf.
Whatever,
Sexy
Al.
time can't be 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Boring.
Yeah. You know what, Al?
Next.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Making fun ain't funny.
Yeah, that's a Dolly
That's a
Parton
throwback
song.
to season 2.
Yep, and that is a Dolly Parton song. Okay. Speaking of love, Gwen Stefani, my girl, still has that just married glow about her. Gwen married Blake Shelton in a small romantic ceremony earlier this month at his ranch in Oklahoma.
Picture.
Gwen gushed about married life on the Tell Me About It with Jade Iovine podcast. Have a listen.
Congratulations to
Thank
start.
you. I know, total honeymoon vibes right now. It's
Oh my
like,
God, are you blissed out? Are you so happy?
Yeah, it was literally one of the greatest moments of my life, obviously.
Oh, in the photos, I died. So we want to know, how long does that honeymoon phase typically last? What do you think, Jeff?
Before the honeymoon's over? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I don't know. The honeymoon phase is kind of like, I don't know.
There is a time where I think the honeymoon phase
I didn't even go
ending.
on a honeymoon. How about that?
What?
No. I got married
Okay.
at the courthouse and back to business.
Oh my gosh, you need to go on a honeymoon. It really does make a difference. I remember Mark and I, so I was someone that always was really like, I don't want to get my hair wet because I love a good blowout. I remember, and I'm not, this is not graphic, but Mark and I were in a shower together, and he took the shower head and he got my hair wet. And I started laughing. And he goes, oh my gosh, you're just so different now that we're married. Because I wasn't as uptight. Because it's a thing. Like, once we said our vows, even though Mark and I had been together for 6+ years before our vows, once we said our vows, for like a few weeks, it felt brand new again, including me even letting the hair again.
Wow, that is deep because, Sam's hair is her superpower.
It is.
I think it's when you start living together. When you start living together, like when you're going out on Friday night dates, you can make sure you're perfect, eyebrows, car's clean. But when you live together, you see somebody on a Tuesday morning brushing their teeth.
Yeah.
That's when like the kind of facade goes away and you're like, oh, they're a person. What's that look for, Erica?
Tell us, Erica, about your honeymoon
I don't
vibes.
agree. I think that you can keep some pretty intense honeymoon vibes until the kids come.
Yeah.
I do think that.
Until you have to take care of somebody with the stomach flu. Like once you have to do the like real life stuff.
I don't think that kills the honeymoon. I mean, a lot of people go places where they have, get a little sick on the honeymoon.
That's
that
true.
doesn't kill the honeymoon.
You ain't been to.
What?
Look.
Jeez, so someone gets sick in your life and all of a sudden there's no more romance?
It's CVS at 2 in the morning for another thing of Pepto.
You've never heard of In Sickness and in Health? That's all part of the
sickness,
romance
it doesn't
package.
say sickness and sickness is health is sexy. It's beautiful.
So
it's
your honeymoon phase completely ends because something happens?
Yes, you're no longer this image of perfection. You are a regular human being that this person's not living with.
Who's been dating somebody perfect?
When you first meet somebody, that's all people say.
Okay, but not when you're getting married. When you get married, you know damn well neither one of y'all are perfect.
Because you live together.
And you can still have the honeymoon phase.
But that goes away.
You are, man.
You don't have to have it go away. You're going to go through ups and downs, peaks and valleys.
A seminar at Goop? Like, it doesn't have to go away. You live your truth. Stop it. We're all human beings. It's going to go away after a while.
No, it's not.
You can still be in love.
I hope this conversation goes away quick because everyone else has.
Yeah, we do have people leaving the room.
Yes, they're
okay,
gone.
Coming up on DBL, gold medalist Dara Torres, our interview with the superstar swimmer, coming up next.
Closed captioning provided by
DBL is back with all new shows live. And this is where I'm going to push back.
I can't follow that.
I'm not going to sit on the show and not say anything.
If you disagree with us, that's A-OK. DBL, all new every day.
Happy Wednesday. It's Kelly Schubert here with the DBL digital team. Thanks for joining us today. Let's continue the conversation. We have a comment come in.
Time, baby girl.
Al, what did that comment say? It said, no wonder Al is single?
Yeah, look, I'm not. But even if I were, I don't think I just think it's okay to look at people as evolved creatures that aren't perfect and necessarily sexy all the time.
As you blot your face to get your oil off.
Yes, because I'm on television and my face was shining.
Exactly.
Yes. So
exactly.
I'm just saying, I don't think it's a bad thing when I think the honeymoon has its time and place, but like you have a honeymoon period for your house. But like after a couple of years.
You do feel different when you say your vows, though. I remember and it does fade.
Yeah.
you know, doesn't mean that you can't like spice things up later on. But I remember like for the first couple weeks,
Give you like a little jolt.
it was like, oh, a total jolt.
Yeah.
I was like I said, I felt like I was dating again.
Yeah.
Let the hair get wet.
Like the butterflies.
Yep, the butterflies, and then it fades. But then you got to do other
you're
things.
agreeing with me now that we're not on TV?
No, you got to do other things. I said to keep the fire ignited.
You don't have to do that on a honeymoon because the fire is ignited.
That's what I said.
So once the fire goes out, I'm saying you're no longer in the honeymoon phase.
No,
You're now in the
true.
let's keep the fire going phase.
Sweat up here.
Yes. So I agree, Erica. Will you just admit that I was right?
No, because you weren't.
The honeymoon phase does not
He's
last
not
forever,
right.
or they wouldn't
He's
call
not
it
right.
a phase.
Al has been a joy killer all day today.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, it's like Joy needs to just hide because Al is on the prowl.
Photo that Dolly was shoving in his face.
Joy killer.
Erica, was it a little close?
Joy killer. See, Al needs to learn that words have power, okay? So if you speak in positive ways, positive things come your way.
No one.
Joy killer.
Everybody likes joy killers. That's why stand-up
Nobody
comedy.
likes a joy killer.
TBL Nation, do you like joy killers? Let us know. Bye.
Welcome back to DBL. In just 48 hours, are you guys ready? The world's best will take the stage in Tokyo. So to get ready, we're chatting with former medalists to reminisce about their past glory. In today's Beyond the Medal series, we chat with swimming legend Dara Torres. Take a look. Dara Torres.
Her accomplishments on the world stage are staggering. Dara Torres is one of the most decorated female athletes of all time, appearing in the Summer Games 5 times and walking away with an astonishing 12 medals. Her first appearance at the Games happened at age 17, and her last was at the ripe young age of 41, making her the oldest athlete to represent the United States.
She is the epitome of a fearless swimmer, breaking boundaries left and right. She's also one of my personal heroes while I swam. Dara Torres, welcome to DBL.
Yes. Hi, guys. Nice to meet you. Thanks for having me.
We are so grateful to have you here. Now, aside from being known as a 12-time Summer Games medalist, also a former world-ranked swimmer, you're also known as the Oldest, which became a global headline for the 2008 Summer Games. How did that title make you feel back then?
You know what? It actually invigorated me because the more people said I was so old and couldn't do it, the more it lit a fire under me and made me want to show them that they were wrong. So if anything, if they thought like talking negative about me would, you know, sort of put me in my hole, it didn't. It just made me want to train harder and swim faster to show them that, you know, age is just a number. It doesn't matter how old you are. So it actually worked to my advantage.
That's championship mindset. I don't have that. That's why I'm not a champion.
You couldn't even get to the word championship.
I know.
You would have like gone to a corner and hid.
Just shivering and rocking back and forth. That's all I would have done. All right, I want to ask you this. Less than 2 years before your 5th appearance at the Games, you had your daughter, Tessa. Why did you want to get into the pool after her birth? Why was that so important?
Well, I actually was in the pool before her birth because I was trying to go to a gym to work out, but I would go to a gym and just get sick, and people would be looking at me like, ew, like, what are you doing out here? You're sick. And I had morning sickness my whole entire pregnancy.
Lord.
So my thought process is, wait, you know, I haven't been in the pool for 5 years. If I go to a pool, I get sick in the gutter, keep swimming, and it's no problem. So that's how I kind of got back swimming, just for exercise. And then one thing kind of led to another. I swam in a swim meet 3 weeks after I had her and did okay. And then swam in another meet a couple months later and qualified for the Olympics. So people are like, oh, you should do this to represent, you know, the middle-aged people. And I'm like, okay. And it's not like a light bulb went off and I was thinking about it for months. It was just sort of the peer pressure of people my age wanted me to do it.
She went to the Olympics at 41. Al,
I'm sitting here and I'm almost.
I mean, we know she went 5 times.
Upset
but
because I'm thinking about all the people on social media that were like humble brag that they got VIP for their birthday at the Cheesecake Factory, and she's like, oh, you know, yeah, I had to qualify for the Olympics right after I had a baby. Yeah.
For the 5th time.
She casually mentioned it. You are an amazing human. You attended the Summer Games 5 times, but is there one year that you cherish more than the others, or are they like your kids? Like you love them all equally?
I feel like at 41, even though I didn't really get to see Beijing and tour around because I swam my races, I went to the Great Wall one day and then I flew home to see my daughter because I hadn't seen her in 6 weeks. Those were really my favorite games because I could appreciate it so much more. I could appreciate the workers who were there, you know, spending hours volunteering and working, and knowing that I have a daughter at home that's waiting for me to come home. There was just something that I knew that at some point in my life and in her life, I can share that experience with her, knowing that I went through 2 years of training, trying to be a mom, balancing being a mom and training for the Olympic Games. So I would say my last Olympics were probably the most special to me. It wasn't about winning medals or breaking records. It was the journey that got me there.
Wow. So substantive. Amazing. So for a couple years now, you have been a spokesperson for Can I Brands, a CBD wellness line. You've said that these products have been a game changer for your health. What are your thoughts on the recent Sha'Carri Richardson suspension for marijuana use?
It's tough because as an athlete, and I know she goes to LSU, and so when you're in college, they come and they school you about what you can and can't do, what you can and can't take. And so you know as an athlete that you're not supposed to take certain things. Do I think that marijuana is a performance-enhancing drug? Absolutely not. Do I think that maybe they should go through some of the drugs that are on the list and maybe redo them and take some off? Absolutely. But she knew that this was a banned substance, and she did it before Olympic trials. So I have to go with the decision that they made to not put her on the team. I do agree with the decision, but I do also agree that maybe they should go through the list and take some of those off.
Wow. We appreciate the thoughtful answer, Dara. All right, so to our DBL Nation, you can find out more about Can I Brands by visiting their website. I have a feeling if Dara's involved, you know that it'll go gold immediately. Exactly.
To have these products that I'm representing, that you know that they're vegan, they're healthy, there's no THC in them. I think there's a big misconception out there about CBD and THC, and people don't want to take it. But if you have an all-natural product and you don't want to take painkillers and you want to take something that's going to, you know, help you if you have aches and pains, you know, why not do it the all-natural way?
And to our viewers, you can find out more about Can I Brands by visiting their website. Dara, it's been a childhood dream to speak with you today. We appreciate you.
Oh, thank you guys. You guys are awesome. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Dara. We'll be right back. Bye, Dara.
We all know that
according to studies, we're lied to between 20 and 200 times on any given day. But what constitutes a lie? If I tell you I'm fine when I'm not, is that a lie? Is there a way to detect deception? I'm William Shatner, and I don't understand.
Welcome back to DBL. It is time for a security alert sponsored by Lifelock. So scam calls for sweepstakes are on the rise and older people are being targeted. So did you know that the average dollar amount a person 55 and older gets scammed out of is $900 a year? That's a lot of money. The Georgia State Attorney's Office said they received 20,000 scam calls a year. And the problem is only getting worse, especially on cell phones. So protect yourself, protect your family members. Don't fall victim to these scams. Your best bet is don't answer calls if you don't recognize the caller. If your information has been breached, LifeLock is here to help. LifeLock keeps you and your digital identity secure from cyber criminals. Call 1-800-439-9017 or visit lifelock.com to learn more. You can actually go, I don't know on other providers, but like on my iPhone, you can silence calls that are not in your address book. And I've done that, and it's fantastic. Fantastic.
I'd be a little worried about that because sometimes, like, you get phone calls from your agent from a different line. But yeah,
well, when they leave a voicemail, you can call them back.
I don't check my voicemail ever.
You don't?
But never.
Oh.
I always feel like it's bad news. But I was going to say, no matter how tech savvy you are.
So the bad news doesn't happen if you don't hear about it?
Yeah. Exactly.
Ignorance is bliss, Erica.
It's called living in an alternate reality.
We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Jeff Bezos, who heads up Blue Origin, was one of the 4 people aboard the New Shepard Tuesday. Went to outer space and back in under 11 minutes. Enough time for rumors to spread about how exactly Bezos' cosmic cruise was funded. Some suggest that taxpayers funded the mission. So let's verify. Did taxpayers fund the recent Blue Origin launch? Our sources? A NASA spokesperson and Scott Pace, director of the Space Policy Institute at the George Washington University. He also previously served in the White House on their National Space Council, literally analyzing NASA budgets and space policy. NASA addressed this claim head on. Quote, no taxpayer dollars were used for the Blue Origin New Shepard flight today. So we can verify that this claim is false. But NASA has worked with Blue Origin in the past, like it has with lots of private companies.
Are there billions of federal dollars going into what Jeff Bezos did today? No. Has the federal government put significant amounts of money, somewhat under $1 billion, in a variety of areas for Blue Origin? Yes.
And all of those agreements are posted online, so we took a look. Blue Origin has received millions of dollars from NASA. In fiscal year 2020 alone, they got over $230 million, according to this NASA report. Most notably, Blue Origin's bid for NASA's prestigious Artemis program, which plans to send the first woman and the first person of color to the moon. In April 2020, Blue Origin was among 3 companies to get a big check to move through the bidding process, a total of $967 million. A year later, they didn't get it, as was offered to SpaceX instead. Blue Origin is appealing the decision to the Government Accountability Office, and NASA says they're going to make their final decision later this summer. And why does all this matter? This is billions of taxpayer dollars that are up for grabs. With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozloff.
Tomorrow on DBL, our Beyond the Medal series continues with Amy Van Dyken, her road to gold and overcoming adversity after a paralyzing ATV accident. Plus, William Shatner will be here live. That's tomorrow on DBL.
Very exciting. Welcome back to DBL. We gotta give a big DBL shout out to the Bucks. They won the NBA championship last night. For the first time in 50 years, tens of thousands of Milwaukee fans took to the streets to celebrate the big win. And check out MVP Giannis, who put up 50 points in the game. He was so blown away by the win, he had to take a seat after the final buzzer. And of course, our executive producer over there he is.
Yeah.
Big Milwaukee Bucks fan, born and raised in Milwaukee, right, Chris?
What's that?
You were born and raised there.
Yes, my parents are there. They watched the game last night. Want to give a shout out to them. It was a great night.
It was a good game. So you're known to like really predict who wins. Like you have a good history when you bet on basketball. I can say that, right?
Probably not, but okay. I don't know if we can talk about that, but
it depends on what cycle it is.
Yeah, I mean,
Did you predict this?
I did okay. Yeah, so yeah, but it was, I was surprised that Phoenix kind of fell apart at the end, but shout out, I like the small market teams, Jeff.
Yeah.
That's all I'm feeling.
It's good for the city, 50 years, 50 was the number. Giannis scored 50 points last night. Great performance, well deserved.
Yeah, shout out to Milwaukee.
All right, DBL's new every day. We'll see you guys tomorrow, same time, same place. Have a great day, everybody. Stay safe.